Hi there, Marcus here. Today's workflow is about migration. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna migrate our, in this case, WordPress site, but you can take any site, basically any web page, and migrate that to Drupal without writing a single line of code and setting it up in around 30 minutes. And we're not just gonna migrate, we're also gonna improve the content. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take something that's fairly unstructured or could be completely unstructured. WordPress uses Gutenberg blocks, so it has some kind of structure, right? But you could think of this as a WYSIWYG page. So it's a review site about Berlin restaurants, and I'm gonna move this now into Drupal in a very structured way. So I'm gonna show you there's a lot of field here. So there's a field for opening hours that's using the office hours module. There's a address field that can show the place on a map, right? And we're gonna add this during the migration as well. So anyone that used that has done database migration or used the migration module knows that this would be a lot of work, and sometimes it's not even worth it. You know, it might even make more sense to just copy and paste the stuff, look up data. So in this case, for instance, the office hours, it just says like this: from Tuesday to Saturday 1830 to 2300, and adding this then into the office hours module, I can show you via the office hours module, is a lot of work because you have to fill in this, right, for every day and so on. So what we have done here, we have set up a migration in 30 minutes that moved this and put it into this complex field types and fill them out. So you can see it creates graphs, create custom fields, it creates, you know, telephone, website, it creates a Google map, figures out exactly where it is, doesn't hallucinate, and fills out this opening hours, gets the images into a gallery and so on. So a lot of the things that you actually need to do for a migration job. So this is what I'm gonna show you now. Okay, so what we have here is a lot of structure field. It's using some of the core modules, but it's also using external modules. So this is the office hours module, for instance. This is the address module. When we come to ratings, there is the custom field modules, and there's the chart modules. And this chart is a bad example. You're never going to show that in our review, but I just wanted to show you how you can migrate that as well. What we are migrating from is currently then a WordPress website, but for this migration to work, it doesn't really matter as long as it's a website that is available somehow that you can scrape, basically. So of course this is just possible for simple migration, not for migration where the values never show up on the website, right? There you have to still use the normal Drupal migration style. I'm talking about content migrations in this case, where you can even do it from static web pages, right? You don't even have to have a, you know, database to database or something, because it's just scraping for the migration in this case. What is special and what I will show you in this case then is that this is a WordPress, as you can see, wordpress.com, but this is a private post. So all the posts that fictionally now needs to be migrated are private, which means that we need a session to be able to see them. So I'm going to show how that works as well. There are 3 modules that we need for this. So there is the AI Interpolator simple crawler. That's the one that's just going to get the content. There is a scraping bot version as well. So if you actually need JavaScript to render the web page that you're using, then you have to use the scraping bot. But the simple crawler comes with a lot of advantages as well, which is it's a lot faster because it's just server-side rendering. It's just scraping using Guzzle. You can run it from your local machine as well, right? So you could have a local website you want to migrate from to a local website in Drupal and still be able to scrape it. Then we use the OpenAI. That's gonna help us with a lot of the complex field types. So using AI to populate this basically. But since it's using context, it's not gonna hallucinate. I will come more to that later. And then the extractor, which has nothing to do with AI, but it's very helpful. It can extract stuff like images into the image field from HTML, for instance. So I have already installed this. I have already set that up. So it's basically under OpenAI settings. You have to get the OpenAI key. This will be gone, by the way, temporary key. Same with Google Places config. You have to put a Google Places API key, which I have done. And I will explain that is for one specific field, right? So how we should go about this now is basically that we have to start with having an old page link, which is a link, and this is basically just the only thing that we're gonna have to give except for the title. So that is the this link, which is then the link to the old website, right? As you can see, it's using WordPress, which uses like Gutenberg in the end, so it is very unformatted. I mean, there is like the Gutenberg blocks, right? But still, you can think of it almost like a CK editor field. So it is very unformatted, and we want to make that formatted. So we're adding this link then. We just take one. We say it's required for now. So the things that we add to migrate, we're gonna remove later, right? So we set external link. We don't need link text. We just save this. And then we need to create a old page HTML as well, and formatted text formatted long, right? So this is basically gonna scrape the website then. And this takes full HTML. And because I've installed the AI Interpolator modules, in this case simple crawler, there's rules here, and this checkbox shows up. So I can enable AI Interpolator, and I can choose the rule simple crawler. This is what we're gonna do. So this crawls a web page and stores it. And we're running this in base mode. We're saying that we want the old page link. I will come back to what base mode, advanced mode is, but we want the old page link, so not the website that we're showing on the actual page, right? And we need some advanced settings because, as I said, this is behind authentication. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go to network, reload this, and we're gonna go to the main page because that's gonna have cookies here. And there's a cookie called WordPress logged in that takes care of the session, right? So we're just gonna copy this, goes to custom cookies, paste the value, and then I need the key as well. So I just set WordPress logged in equals. And this will log me in. Maybe I will just search Chrome user agent here to get the latest agent here to make sure that WordPress thinks that I'm an actual browser as well. Then this part is very important when we're talking about migration. I'm just gonna keep it actually at the article segmentation now, but the reason this module existed from the beginning is not for migration purposes. It's rather for contextualizing for AI. So there's a SERP plugin, for instance, so you can search, find links, scrape those, and use that context as truth, because if you don't have truth, the AI will hallucinate. It will come up with stuff that's just not true, right? But if you give it context, like given this context, answer this question, it will answer truthfully. But it has some modes that are very helpful, I think, in this case. So there's raw dump, where you can basically get the whole HTML structure. There is article segmentation, which, if we go back to the web page, is a Firefox plugin that's open source we're using, that can basically get the actual content, right? So it doesn't care about menus and stuff. But then what is also interesting, I think, if you're doing migrations, is that there is HTML selector. So if, say that this page had a gallery outside of the images that's inside the article, and we just wanted to move the gallery, then we could find a selector for the gallery and dump that, and then use the image extractor only on those, right? But now I'm gonna use everything. I'm gonna set a lower interpolator weight because this has to happen first before anything else, right? We have to have the website content before we can start populating other fields. Normally, if you do actual migration, I mean, you would use qcron, right? So use the cron job to run all the AI jobs and all the crawling and stuff. But I want to make it graphically nice now, so I'm gonna use the batch API basically. And then there is the direct that just saves, but that can time out, you know, you get server timeouts. So this uses the JavaScript batch API instead. So I'm gonna save this. Then we're gonna start adding the other thing that we need to fill out. So we need address, right? And this uses the address module. And what we're gonna do here, we're gonna enable the AI Interpolator. We're gonna use the rule text address finder base mode. And we're gonna use the title, because the title is the restaurant name, right? And then we can write from the context text, find the restaurant we're looking for, context, and then we can just add Berlin, because my whole web page is about restaurants in Berlin in this case. If it wasn't about restaurants in Berlin, what you could do is you could create basically an extra field there in between that reads the HTML page and asks it, hey, what are the restaurants we're looking for? Answer with the restaurant's name and the city name, basically. Then we're gonna go into advanced settings. We're gonna do batch. We're gonna do GPT-4 Turbo in this case. We just save this. And here, for that weight doesn't matter that much because that's just dependent on title that we have to fill out anyway. Next thing is charted ratings, which is a stupid thing to have, but I just wanted to show how it's possible to do this, right? So this is using the charts module. We're gonna, once again, enable AI Interpolator, use OpenAI charts from text. Base mode, we're gonna use the old page HTML. And then we're gonna say from the context page, use the dishes and their ratings as a chart. So what this is gonna go in, oh, by the way, context then, that means basically the clean text from the base field. So that's the HTML without its HTML tags. You can use raw context if the HTML tags is imported. So what this will do is we'll go down here and look at the rating here and the name of this dish and create a chart from that basically. As values probably we should write. And this we do a batch. We need to use GPT-4 Turbo preview for this, or GPT-4 anything, because it's pretty complex. We just have a higher weight than the fetching, so this runs later. The thing is, we probably have to set up the default type as well. So I'm just gonna say that we use high charts and we use a bar chart in this case. And I know that the range is from 0 to 5, the rating, right? So we set all that, we just save. So that's set up. Then cuisine, that's a taxonomy term. So we have this one, I can show you the terms. It's just beef, halal, kosher, vegan, and so on. That's of course good to figure out for people that are interested in something specific. And this you could do any taxonomy term, right? We set this unlimited because it can be, you know, beef and poultry, for instance. Once again, enable AI Interpolator, use the OpenAI taxonomy rule. Base mode we can do in this case as well. Take the old page HTML and then we write, wait, I'm just gonna copy this actually because that's a pretty good prompt there from the placeholder. So choose, we don't have to do up to. Based on the context text, choose category from the content. Okay, so fits the text. Based on the context text menu, Choose category from the category context that fits the text. Category option, value options, comment, context is then the text. What is this is gonna do is gonna go down to the menu, read it. It's in German, but that doesn't matter for OpenAI. Read through it and figure out, okay, here's fish. Then we set fish. I'm not sure if I had a fish actually, but kalvsvans, that's veal tail, right? So it's gonna add that to beef probably. And so on. So it's gonna categorize, then it's gonna figure out that it's if there is a vegan and a vegetarian option as well, right? Automatically. Once again, batch. Once again, we do GPT-4 Turbo Preview and we save this. Then we have the email field. And in this case, we don't have to use OpenAI or be so extreme. We can just use the email extractor. So this is basically a regex that looks for emails in the text. So there is an email somewhere here to contact them there, right? So it's just gonna find this and set this. So we just say this is old page HTML, batch, higher value, and that's it. Gallery. So what we want to do, there is actually a gallery and a header image. So what we want to do is that the gallery gets all images except the first one. So it gets all the other images here, and the header images takes the first one. So how we're gonna do this is basically that first of all, we're gonna set a minimum image dimension. And this is important because if there happened to be an icon or something here, it would be stored otherwise. So now it will make sure that the image has to be over 500, otherwise it doesn't save it, right? Enable AI Interpolator, use the image extractor on the old page HTML, batch, and then we're gonna set offset that we start from the second, right? We don't set the amount, we just want everything after that. And we save this, and then we go to the header image. We're gonna do the exact same thing here. 500 times 500. Enable AI Interpolator on the old page HTML, and we turn on batch. But in this case, we just get one and we don't set offset, right? So it just takes the first one. And then we come to the, something I want to do first, by the way. The old page HTML, the old page link should not be shown, right? And we're gonna add it as a tab here as well. We just call it old page. Because this we can basically, when the migration is finished, we can just remove this if we want, right? Because after that you can start adding manually. If you want, of course, you can still use the AI. Anyway, so we're done with this. Menu I'm gonna skip for now. It's pretty complex. I have to think actually how to solve that. Opening hours is using office hours, and that just is the same thing. And here I'm gonna show you really the power of AI, because this is gonna show every day and so on, right? When it's open. If you look in the text, it just says fleetingly here somewhere there. 1:44 is open Tuesday to Saturday, 1830 to 2300, right? So that's what it says. That's the only context that it has. So we're just gonna enable this, take the old page HTML. We're just gonna copy this because this is actually pretty good, I think. Let's see here. Based on the context, can you return the opening hours that you can find? Advanced, we set batch, we take turbo preview 100, so it happens after the text is gotten. Ratings is a custom field. This also makes no sense, but I just wanted to show you. So like custom field is a module where you can have multiple values, or you can create your own complex field type basically. And this then has the reviews, the rating, and what did we call the last? Text. Let's see, name, reviews, rating. So this comes from here, right? Name, review, review, and rating, right? So we just enable the AI Interpolator. There is one for custom field. You can use base field here as well. And here we have to do multiple prompts. So this uses like one-shot learning, where you give examples on how you want it, but also a overview, like a how do you call it? Like a, you know, a parent prompt basically. So based on the context, figure out the dishes that got reviewed and extract the dish name and translate to English. So this I stored in German, but maybe we want it in English in this case. So you see Lauch, for instance, or Geschaumter. So that's we need to translate this to English, right? So translate to English. Also get the numeric rating and the review text, right? So that's that's the context. Let's see here. So we're just doing that, and then we have advanced settings where we actually have to give per each first batch, then give one sentence how name should be filled out. So this is the dish name, filled trout. So this is just example of a name, filled trout with balsamico, right? The textual review, this is the textual review. This dish tasted awesome and was really good. I don't know. The numeric review integrating. This we give example 3. We use GPT-4 Vision Turbo Preview in this case. Save it. Yeah, I can say there is Vision Preview, so we could even do this from our image. We don't even need to do it from a website, but in this case we're talking about migrations, right? But if you ever need to read the text, for instance, from a migration. So here, this is just, I'm just gonna copy here. So style is just the style of the restaurant, basically. So we're just gonna open up this on old page HTML, do batch. We're just gonna copy here. Based on the content, choose category from the category. Based from the context about the restaurant. Batch, GPT-4 Turbo Preview, save. That's it. And then this is the only thing we're gonna AI generate. So we might want a summary on preview pages, right? And this doesn't really exist here. We could do what Drupal doesn't, you know, cut it off somewhere, but this is usually never good summaries. So we're actually gonna write a summary here instead. So we just take AI Interpolator, open AI text long. So this takes text to text based on a prompt. And in this case, what we can do is we can take advanced mode because we want the title in here as well. So what we can say here is, for the restaurant, and then we take node title here. So in this case, we can use multiple fields to fill in the prompt, right? Node title with the following context, write a summary that is one paragraph with 2 sentences up to 150 characters. Context, and this we just then take the old HTML, page HTML we called it, right? And we're just gonna take the value. So we have it there. To advanced settings again, batch. We can use GPT 3.5. It's usually good at summarization and it's cheaper and faster. Then we have a telephone. And in this case, there's actually no telephone extractors, but this is still smarter because I'm going to show you something here. So from this whole context, reading this text, you're gonna realize this is about Germany, right? And then there is somewhere, let's see if we can find a phone number. There's supposed to be here. There's a local phone number, right? The phone field wants to store this with country code. So this can figure this out based on the context, right? So we're just gonna copy this prompt here. So based on the context, return all telephone numbers listed with a country code added. And we're gonna take the old page HTML, once again 100, and we're gonna take GPT-4 turbo preview, save. And then we have text review. Well, I mean, yeah, we can use OpenAI text long, and we take the old page. So based on the context text, only get the textual review without any images or the menu, right? I hope this works. I mean, this of course you could do programmatically in 5 minutes, writing 2 lines of code, but as I said, I don't want to use any code in this migration. So GPT-4 turbo preview, save. And last but not least, website. And in this case, it's the same as email, disabled, enabled, and we take link extractor. So there is an OpenAI link. You can prompt and try to figure out stuff if it's complex, but in this case, we're just gonna extract the link basically. And batch, and we don't want any links that links to images and stuff, of course. So we're just gonna save that, and now we're gonna do a migration. So 144, that's the title, right? And the other thing we need to fill in, oh, I have to reload, I forgot. 144, and the old page is this link, and we click save, and this is gonna start working now. So the first thing it's gonna do is get the HTML, and then it's gonna start processing all these different fields and try to fill them out. And there might be that we need to do some fine tuning, but this is basically the general idea to do the migration. And then after you're done with this, you can just remove all the helper fields that we had basically. And that's it. The migration is done. So of course this is, as you can see, slower than MySQL queries, but we're talking about migrations where you have maybe up to a couple of thousand websites with 10 different entities or something. After that, of course, it makes sense to set up migration script and go through that work, but up until then, I think this is actually a nice way of doing the migration. Let's see when it's finished if we actually get some usable results. And truthful as well. It's important, of course. So there we go. So we have a header image. The actual getting of the text didn't work, so we have to figure that out. Categories, it said, so it has poultry, vegan, vegetarian. It's a fine dining place, which is correct. It has Guide Michelin stuff, right? And then you can see it has actually added the ratings on a chart. We can just check one. Geschäumte Teto Tofu has 4. Geschäumte Teto Tofu rating 4, right? And here we have them on the custom field type, and you see they have translated. It's leaked, it's foamed, so it translated to English like we told it to. This doesn't show the ratings. I can show you that just so you don't think the ratings are gone. I just didn't want to show them. So you can see that the rating is hidden, right? So if I click edit, the rating is gonna be there. Click contact data, email filled in, website filled in. There's an address there's an opening hour that has been set correctly, right? So 1813 to 2300. And then there's gallery. This looks ugly. I know I didn't want to install a gallery module, but it is the 4 images that comes after. You can click on them and you have the image, right? And that's basically the idea of it all. That's how you can do a simple migration for websites and even improve the content, right? So what didn't work now then was the actual text here. So the text review didn't really work, and the problem because the problem with this is basically that it would probably have wanted to split it up in multiple fields due to how the interpolator works. So in this case, I guess using code would be better. I will think about it and think how we can get the text and menu out as well. It shouldn't actually be a problem. But you get anyway a summary here as well, right? 2 sentences, what we talked about. And I can just show you under ratings that the ratings are set in this custom field type as well. So what we could do now is just remove these 2 fields, remove this tab, and the migration is done, right? We have moved from the old to the new. Oh, telephone didn't work. So we probably have to, so here's the thing with prompts. They aren't, with AI to start with, it's not deterministic. It can answer different depending on settings and so on. But there's a lot of prompt engineering going into this as well. So you have to perfect the prompt. So we can try to do that actually, just to show you how it works then with a phone. So you get a better idea on how long time this takes to set up, because I just copied all the placeholder stuff, right? So based on the context text, find all potential telephone numbers and return them with the country code added with a plus sign. Maybe we need to be very verbose there. So we just save this, and then you can just resave. As long as this is not filled out, it's gonna try to get it again, right? So I'm just gonna try to resave, and it should run 1 job now. Oh, it didn't actually run. That's maybe, no, here it is. I maybe had this set to direct, right? Yeah, because it didn't use the batch. Ah, okay, so that's why it failed, sorry. I forgot to set this to batch, which meant direct runs before the batch API runs. So the HTML didn't exist. So there was actually nothing wrong with my prompt. I just did another error there. So that was the reason. So the telephone is filled out now. We have the results, and that's it basically. So what, we spent half an hour to set up this migration. And now you could just, you know, use the CSV importer module that exists, for instance, a great module where you can, you know, create entities from this, and that's it. You have your migration done. Or also, of course, in the case you maybe just have 100 websites, you could even copy and paste the links just manually. So that's it. Thank you for watching.